Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the Disney Resorts podcast. My name is Kenny Hayes, and I am joined alongside virtually by my good friend and brother-in-law, Walt Ramirez.
Hey,
what's up,
Ken,
Walt?
How you doing?
Good. It is now episode 3. Can you believe it?
Yeah, we're doing pretty well for newbies.
That's right. So, folks, what we're going to do in this week's episode, we want to talk about a couple items we have on tonight's agenda. One of them being the Disney's Grand Floridan. The new studios are now active and up for sale for current DVC members. Our second topic of the night is going to be a Genie Plus update. Disney recently announced that as of February 25th through, let me check my notes, August 7th, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Space Mountain, and Frozen have been changed, and we'll get into more details shortly. And then we'll talk real quick about a past stay for Walt at Disney's Baylake Tower. And then we'll wrap up this week's show with what we miss from Walt Disney World. So it sounds like a pretty interesting show. You guys should stick around and check it out. So let me pull it up on my phone. Oh, here we go. There's a malfunction already. Bear with us, guys. So Walter and I were talking before the show, excuse me, and Disney's Grand Floridian, they converted one of the buildings that used to be cash only to now DVC Studios. They are now selling for $207 a point. What do you think about that price, Walt?
Where can I sign up for it?
I know your feeling. So, like I said in the intro, it's $207 a point if you were to become a new Disney Vacation Club member. However, if you are an existing Vacation Club member, they have an offer now out and available until March 30th. And leading up to the suspense, I'll let everybody know what's going on. So as of right now, like I just said, $207 per point for non-members, and current members can save a total. Let me correct myself. Current members can get a price as low as $186 per point. So here's how it's going to go. If you're purchasing 125 to 149 points, you will save $8 per point during this current event. Points between 150 and 174 will be a cost savings of $10 per point. 175 through 199 will be a whopping $13 per point. 200 to 249, $21 per point. And finally, 250 to 299 vacation points with a savings of $22 a point. Now, there's also a catch, Walt, and you're going to love this one. Disney's announced that the first 500 members to add on to the new Grand Floridan Villas will receive an exclusive four-piece luggage set valued at $350.
Wow.
This includes a duffel bag, a canvas drawstring bag, a canvas pouch, and a luggage tag in brown and green with the Grand Floridian logo.
Thank God for the luggage tag, because I wasn't going to get it, but the luggage tag put me over.
I wish I knew how to do more of the screen sharing. And for all of you out there listening and watching right now, we are the two least tech-savvy people in the world. You're lucky that we're up and running right now.
But keep in mind,
otherwise we would have had a picture.
Keep in mind, that's so at 250 points to save the maximum savings, you're talking $46,000.
It's a bargain.
46 grand. I mean, that's
46 grand to stay at the Grand.
That's a down payment on a house. I mean,
yes,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I have multiple contracts, two of which are direct through My last contract is through a private company. I got to say, purchasing resale was actually very easy. I saved a ton of money. When I purchased, it was 110 points, $110 per point. Even now, a year later, I can make a profit if I sold it. It's ranging from 130 to 135 a point. But there's really no savings anymore. Actually, besides the savings, because what Disney used to do pre-COVID, you had so many perks and DVC exclusives where they, if you bought direct through DVC, you were allowed to get, your blue card. You were allowed to go to Moonlight Magic. You were afforded a lot of perks if you were a blue card holder. But now, okay, they just brought Moonlight Magic back. But besides that, what other perk do you get?
You forgot
if you are going to buy
tag.
DVC,
That's
right.
The luggage tag.
Like you said, I wish I had the picture up. Yes. Actually, I have it up right now, and the luggage tag is actually pretty nice. It sold me.
And the bags,
I think I'm
going to. The bags are for your cash that you're going to need. All that cash that you're going to have to bring with you.
Yes. Yeah. When you go to check in now, you don't have to no longer show your card, or you don't even have a card no more. It's a digital card now. They got rid of the blue card, the blue hard card. Walt is now gone. It's now a digital card.
Oh, that's not because they had to splurge on the luggage tags.
Yes. So the cost savings of eliminating the blue membership cards have now been turned over to a set of 500 luggage bags with the beautiful tag of the Grand Floridan.
And we don't want to sound like we're going to be Captain Negative for, all of the DVC products. In future shows, we'll cover this topic extensively. But we'll point out where we feel like they're really taking advantage. And in this particular instance, they're definitely taking advantage. It's a beautiful resort. There's no question about it. Everybody knows it. It's on the monorail loop. It's very opulent. But again, when you're doing the math and you're trying to calculate the amount of money you need to go on vacation versus, what your family can afford, and then to put a tag on it like that, and then to insult you by throwing in the luggage as if it were like, a little cherry on top. I don't know. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
I agree. But when you look at it, Walt, if you're purchasing, especially if you're between the 125 and 149 per point, that doesn't leave you with a lot to play with, because even in the article that I'm reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have not stayed at the Grand Floridan. I don't have an overwhelmingly desire to stay at the Grand Floridan. Have you?
I've never stayed there. I haven't had a desire to stay there, but it's not to say that I wouldn't stay there. I mean, I'd like to at some point. It's one of the resorts. So it's one of the few resorts that I haven't stayed at.
So just take this into an account, because you have over at the Grand, you have a standard, a lake, and theme park views. So depending on your current room or whichever one you let me start over. Whichever one you choose, it's going to range anywhere from 24 points a night to 54 points a night. So that basic buy-in between 125 and 149, it isn't going to get you much. And of course, granted, it's add-ons, so it's for people who are current DVC members. But if you don't own at the Grand, and this is going to be one of your add-ons, okay, maybe you get the add-on, and then you're close to the park for, the Halloween party or Christmas time, but you're not getting much out of it, in my opinion, unless you're going to be in the $40,000 to $50,000 range.
Correct. And I mean, if you're doing a studio at Grand Floridan and you're doing a 5-night stay on the high end, let's just say using simple math, if it's $600 or $700 per night, which I think is in the ballpark of what it generally is, you're looking at $3,000 for a studio for a week. And now if you extrapolate that out, how many years, let's say you go once a year, even if you went twice a year, if you could afford it, not many people can at that price. But if you went once a year, you're going to have to go for like 20 years to get your money back, just to break even on what you paid and what you laid out. So even if, let's just say you go on, use, you get a studio or a 1-bedroom. And that's, I think, roughly like around the $1,100-$1,200 range. You're still going to have to go for like 10 years of worth of vacations just to get your money back to break even. So
correct.
To me, this is something that it's always been a sticking point with me with Vacation Club, with DVC. And again, like I said, we'll get into more detail about that on other shows, about different family structures that it makes sense for versus people that it doesn't make sense for. But at the end of the day, unless you're very, very well off, you're not going to be able to come close to buying into Grand Floridian.
But let me ask you, Walt, whether it's Grand Floridian, whether it's a new resort in the future, do you think a set of luggage bags is something that's really going to get people jacked to come by DVC? I mean, come on. I mean, that's what it is. I'm a believer in DVC, but to me, luggage is not a perk.
It goes to show you how far removed Disney is from what people really want, and that bleeds into other areas too. It goes into the customer service experience and so many, but that's just a prime example that they think that a set of luggage is going to be enough of a perk to get you to buy in. I mean, I could think of a lot of other things that I could give out besides that. I mean, how about an annual pass at a discount?
Yeah, and a hefty discount.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just yes. Now we have a family member who've been DVC members for years, and when they bought in, didn't they get, I think it was a decade's worth of free passes, wasn't it?
I believe so. I believe it was, but they bought in very early on when I believe it was at the very beginning of DVC.
Now, I'm not saying, of course, times have changed, and I don't think Disney, when they started this program, thought it would ever get to this magnitude. So I'm not saying that, hey, let me give you a decade of free passes in order for you to purchase in. But even if they says, hey, Walt, here's our pricing, here's our new resort, we're going to discount. I have no issue discounting the points for existing members. And you know what? Maybe for the next 2 years, we're going to give you free annual passes or 50 or 75% off annual passes. Something that it shows that Disney actually cares about the membership, because I think they really don't. And being a current member and seeing everything that transpired over the last 2 years, they could really care less about us. But the problem is they know people like me, people like you, no matter how many times they kick us and we're down, we seem to get back up, get on a plane, and take the abuse all over again.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are other factors involved in the reason why people do that. I mean, we've talked about that a little bit on our first two shows, about how there's a connection with, going to Disney and the connection that you make with the parks and with the stories and then the family connections that people make, memories that you make with your loved ones. So those are all things that are part of the reasons why people continue to go back on a regular basis, despite all the abuse that we take when we go. It's what you make of it when you go. And I keep telling people that there are a lot of stresses that have been added on and a lot of things that have been taken away. But at the end of the day, it's what you make out of that vacation and the memories that you make with your family members. And Disney's the conduit for that. So to me, we have fun and we sit here and we complain about those things.
We do.
At the end of the day, it's still that's the reason why they, like you pointed out, that we keep coming back, because there is still something there that is a draw for people, and it's still a great, fun vacation, relaxing vacation. And again, there's things that you have to search for to find. Some things are a little harder now to find than before, but it's what you make of it, and that's just my opinion of it. But talking about DVC, I did stay many years ago at Contemporary and
Baylake
Towers. I'm sorry, yes, the Baylake Tower, and I was not a fan. No,
Really?
was not a fan. Stayed in the studio, and my wife and I actually ended up leaving earlier. We checked out earlier because the rooms themselves the layout was very strange because the building is circular, and there's pocket doors in all the rooms to separate the bathrooms. And there's gaps, or maybe since then they fixed them. Like I said, I don't want to be unfair because I haven't stayed there in quite a while, but the gaps in the doors, the layout of the room itself, like the area where you would like blow dry your hair and where the sink is to the bathroom, directly behind it is where your microwave and coffee maker are. So if you're preparing your breakfast, the person who's right behind you getting ready is drying their hair. It just doesn't. The layout was really bizarre, and it was during a really bad bug season, I guess, in Florida that were encountering those little bugs that love to like attach themselves to each other. And when we went up to one of the one of the restaurants up at the top of the tower, we noticed there were just huge mounds of these bugs like everywhere. And even the walkway from Contemporary that connects the Baylake Tower to Contemporary, even that walkway was just loaded with these bugs. And we just said, you know what, maybe it's just the time of the year. Maybe it's being near the water. We checked out early. We actually went over to Old Key West and had a much better vacation. We were glad we did.
Now, so evidently you switched because you complained at the front desk and they actually moved you?
They did, yeah. They did accommodate us, which was nice,
good.
but we just never felt a need to stay there. Again, we're not huge Magic Kingdom fans, so we're really not crazy about whether or not we stay on the monorail loop or not. It's nice to see the fireworks. At that time, there were parades and fireworks on a regular basis. So that was fun. But right now, I wouldn't stay there. I wouldn't waste my points on that resort.
So let me ask you this. The room itself, did you have a theme park view or did you have a view of Baylake?
Baylake.
Baylake. I got to be honest with you. I've seen numerous vlogs of, I don't think I've seen a studio though, but I've seen the Grand Villa there. I've seen a 1 and 2 bedroom there. I think they're very nice looking. They're not exactly my decor, but I would stay there. I would like to try it. So I can't comment on all in regards to the studio, but that setup, but you describing just does not sound like anything I want to stay at at all. I take Old Key West any day over that.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
There's not a lot of space in those rooms. That's the problem, because of the building, the way it's set up.
But like you said, and it's not a lot of people love it because you're a stone throw from Magic Kingdom. So if you have young kids or if you are a big Magic Kingdom fan, then that's the place to stay, either at Baylake or the regular Contemporary, because you got a 5-minute walk and you're at Magic Kingdom. But so it's safe to say, would you ever try it again? Not a studio, but if you had a 1 or 2 bedroom, would you try it?
Maybe. I mean, it's not really at the top of my list.
Maybe.
Right now I would go to Polynesian. I've stayed there. I love the Polynesian. I think you've stayed there as well. For me personally, I think the Polynesian is, for me, overall, it hits all of the things that I prefer in a resort. Pool, restaurants, atmosphere. It's for me, it's the best monorail loop resort.
Well, and I agree with you. I've stayed there 3 times, and I enjoyed it immensely. I've enjoyed it immensely. You're right. Both of the pools, whether it's the main pool or the quiet pool near the DVC side, excellent pools, good bars, good vibe. Everything's good about it. And of course, with the main pool, you got that unobstructed view of the castle, especially at night. I don't think there's much of a better view in Disney World than the Polynesian. It's because you could just see it. It's like they knew exactly what they were doing. They did. When you could look out across the lake and you see the castle and you see Space Mountain and you could see part of the train station lit up at night. And it's
a great view.
It's a great view. It's relaxing. But yeah, I agree with you. The Polynesian is a beautiful resort, a beautiful vibe. I said it in our prior episodes. That smell in that lobby is second to none.
Absolutely.
You get wow. But currently, the non-DVC side just went through and they had a full refurb. So those rooms are completely redone. The DVC side also just had a soft goods refurb. So they did, it was like the flooring, the paint. They eliminated the pull-out couch. That is now gone. They went with what everyone, and I think you and I both agree with it. I like it a lot. Is now it's the Murphy bed.
Yes, very practical.
So yes, they did that as well. I can't wait to stay there again because everything I've seen, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, and it's even when I'm not staying at Disney. If I'm not staying at the Polynesian, it is my favorite resort to visit. I mean, you even think about it. You got Kona Cafe, Ohana, and Captain Cook's, which arguably is the best counter service on property.
It's right up there.
Can't go wrong. No, absolutely. If I had to choose between the 3 on the monorail loop, it's the Polynesian, hands down.
I agree.
What about you?
I agree. Yeah, it's by far. It's a great atmosphere, great restaurants, proximity to Magic Kingdom. I think it's overall it's the most fun if you're with the family, especially if kids. I would definitely suggest the Polynesian over the other 2. There's a lot more for your kids to do there as well.
Now let me ask you this. Did you ever try Trader Sam's yet?
I have not.
Neither have I. And I really, really, really want to. The problem is every time I have gone, the line is like down the hallway. And I'm like, I'm just not going to wait in that line because you could be there for quite a while. And I just don't want to waste the whole night. And I know it's great. I've seen videos inside. I've seen vlogs where you order a certain drink and everything goes crazy on the walls. And it's an experience. But I just don't want to take that chance of standing in the hallway for half the night and missing on part of my vacation. But I have to make an attempt and an effort to go because I really want to check it out.
It's on my list for my next trip of things I'd like to do.
All right. So that's going to wrap up our resorts part of this episode. Why don't you, I know you wanted to talk about with everyone the most recent changes to the Genie Plus system.
So this week, Disney announced that they were actually putting 3 rides on the regular Genie, removing it from Genie Plus. Those 3 rides are Space Mountain at Magic Kingdom, Frozen at Epcot, and the Mickey's Runaway Railway at Hollywood Studios. So those 3 rides are going to regular Genie, free, or what we call free Genie.
Is that free Genie or Genie Plus? Because I'm still getting new to this.
No, that's
were they originally?
That's the free. That's going on free Genie. So that's the Genie where you can actually get that without having to upgrade and paying for the skip the line part of it.
Okay.
Again, that's also if you're staying on Disney property as well. If you're staying at a Disney hotel, you're able to make reservations starting at 7 a.m. For Genie and Genie Plus, but for Genie. And then you're getting, I mean, in my opinion, I think those three rides are three rides that you probably wouldn't have waited, well, with the exception of Frozen, perhaps, you wouldn't have waited that long anyway on non-ultra busy days. Space Mountain generally usually has 40, 45-minute waits, which really aren't that long for that ride. And Mickey's Runaway Railway, if you hit that ride early in the morning, generally you're going to run into about a 60-minute wait if at Park Open. So that's really not that bad. Now, that's probably changed this time of the year because of the large crowds that they are getting on vacation, and with the Easter crowds that are coming in, and the kids that are coming in now. You're probably going to get longer waits, but I still am glad that those went on free Genie, because I would not pay for any of those rides. I would just rather either wait on the regular standby line or just avoid them altogether, because I've done those many times, and none of them are worth paying $15 for to try to get the Genie Plus.
I agree. I love, not that I love, we talked about this in our last episode. I like Mickey and Minnie's. I think they did a good job. However, I would have preferred
the Great Movie Ride.
Oh, my God. Yes, the Great Movie Ride. Between Mickey and Minnie, Space Mountain, and Frozen, if it's beyond 40 to 45 minutes, I wouldn't wait for any one of them. I really wouldn't.
Well, Frozen is one of those rides, just like you mentioned with Mickey's Runaway Railway, that both were rides that were changed from a previous ride. So Great Movie Ride went away, and with Frozen, you had the Norway ride, which was a favorite ride for most people. Now, granted, the Frozen obviously is very popular because of the movie. Kids love it, and generally it has a long wait time. But from the ride experience itself versus what it used to be, I'm a fan of the old ride.
Agreed. So this effect, I just looked it up because we posted on this recently. I just want to clarify. These were originally individual Lightning Lane purchases, and they were moved to the Genie Plus as of February 25th, and that will go through August 7th.
Okay.
So that's pretty much going to take you through the height of the season, because they're already anticipating everything I see and read. Disney World's a madhouse right now.
Yeah, that's what my understanding.
It's a madhouse. Yeah, they said that they haven't seen crowds like this since early 2020 before they shut everything down, which is good.
Especially this time of the year. Generally, February is a slow month, and they had a super busy February. So, and now March is, looks to be the same, and it's going to pick up as you get into April and the Easter holiday.
I think you've been there as well. I generally go, not this year, however, I generally go in March for my birthday, and it's usually crazy because of spring break and that. So it's if you want to wait online, if you don't like to wait on lines, now's not the time to go, unless you're going to spend a lot of money and skip the line.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to pretty much be waiting online any time of the year that you go, unless you really hit like a sweet spot where where things are slower. But generally, you're going to have long lines, especially now where people are starting to travel more and are starting to get out more. We're getting past COVID, so you're going to see larger crowds at Disney. Not so much the internationals haven't started traveling yet to come back in. Once that starts, then you're really going to hit larger crowds. And again, that's what's forcing people's hand, because people are still, even though they don't particularly care for Genie Plus, they're paying because they know that that's the only way they're going to be able to ride the rides that they like. It happened to me when I went on my most recent trip, because I actually did pay for Hollywood Studios, because I knew that it was the only way that I could get on Mickey's Runaway Railway without having to wait for an hour plus and getting on Toy Story Mania, which we could talk about that on another day. It's kind of a waste of a lightning lane. But I just wanted to get in and out of that park and get to the pool and not have to waste my entire day at the park. So,
Yep. All right. So with the Genie Plus now wrapped up, each segment, each show, we always want to talk about something. As of right now, we miss from Walt Disney World. Walt, we'll start off with you. And as of right now, what do you miss?
Well, one of the things that I miss is Leave a Legacy, which is kind of a strange one for some people who may not agree with me on this. And evidently there's quite a few people that I've seen online that are happy that Leave a Legacy is gone. For me personally, I thought that it didn't take really anything away from the theming of Epcot. Some people called it an eyesore. I didn't feel that way at all. Basically what Leave a Legacy was, were when you went into the park, you had your picture taken with you and a family member, and then it was put on a little, I guess, what would you call that?
The metal?
Yeah, like a little piece of,
Yes.
And then it would go on this stone, and it was there as a memory. And every time I would go into Epcot, I would always stop there to look at those photos. Now, that was my mother's first trip to Disney World that I did that with her. And my wife's first trip, actually it wasn't their first trip, but it was right after our honeymoon that we went there and we had our picture taken. And it was just one of those things that it was a memory that you kind of always went back to, and it was just it was a place that I always stopped to reminisce a little bit about the past. And that was all taken down, and they put that in an area where it's not even in the park anymore. It's actually on the way. It's actually outside of the actual gate, and it's on your way to the parking lot. So you have to actually go out of your way to go find it. And they put it on these gigantic walls that are about 7-8 feet high. So if you're at the top of the wall, you're not even going to be able to see yourself anymore. Luckily, I'm still down at the bottom, so I can, still see myself. But it's one of the...
Now, both pictures of you, are they both at eye height or lower so you could still see them?
The one with my mother and I is actually a little bit higher than eye level. It's not bad. And my wife and I are down near the bottom, like around your knees, so you can definitely still see it. But it's just like one of those things where, like in my case, my mom has passed, and it was one of those memories that I enjoyed reminiscing whenever I would go there, to just kind of remind me of past trips. And it was just one of those things that just kind of, gave you that Disney feeling that people get when they go to Disney World. And, to me, I just felt it was something that really wasn't necessary to remove. It's great that, things change and evolve, and I'm all for that. But that was one of those things that if you were going to do that and you were going to change it, at least have a little bit of respect for people's, memories, and not just stick you out in the parking lot. So it could have been done a little bit differently.
Let me ask you this. Do you remember what it was in 2000, correct?
Well, it was active at that time. I don't know if exactly when it started, but I know in 2000 it was active, because that's when I first started going.
Do you remember how much you paid for that?
I believe it was $35.
Roughly?
Yeah, I think it was 35.
$35 a shot. Okay. I totally agree with you. I understand both sides of Leave a Legacy, because a lot of people out there didn't like it. They says it, they didn't like walking through it. So I could understand, and I believe that there should have been a refurb, but I like what they did with how they ran the colors through it when they put it back up now. So what I think they could have done is kept the Leave a Legacy, but updated it, refurbed it, cleaned it up, or even just, because I think everything they have up now, they had to reprint anyway. because that's how they got that color and everything on it. And I think you could have made it much nicer than it already was and kept it in the same area, because I'm with you. I am totally disgusted with how they reappropriated where they put it, because you would have been better off like they did over at Magic Kingdom, just taking the bricks up and getting rid of them, than putting them in a spot where nobody knows what it is. Or because, like you said, when you go out the turnstiles, you go out the gate, you have to make a hard right to even walk down that walkway to see it. So it's an afterthought.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Like a lot of other places, it's an afterthought. So unless you bang a hard right and you're in handicap or preferred parking, you're not going to see it anyway.
Right.
Maybe at night, because of when you have heavy crowds, because they're dispersing everyone, people are going to go down that. But your normal in and out every day on off hours, nobody's walking that way. So I just think it's a slap in the face of the people who paid it. In my opinion, if you couldn't have found a better spot for it, then you should have just got rid of it.
Yeah. I mean, they just didn't really give it a lot of thought. They just figured, all right, we'll just throw it over here in case people that, get upset about it, they won't squawk too much about it. And, it's par for the course. There's very little, unfortunately, with Disney World, there's very little thought that goes into people's feelings other than how much money can we make off of this?
Agreed. But, and it's just, it's a shame of what they did. And like, what upsets me is that, like I said, it looks great. It's just in a horrible spot. It's just in a horrible spot. And like you said, they went too high. But again, afterthought, they just put it up. They says, all right, the people will be happy. It's up. It's over here. You can come see it and be done.
And there's
with
plenty
it.
of
That's how
there are
I
plenty
think
of places in the park itself that are like kind of away from main traffic flow areas that they could have placed it. They could have definitely spread it out. But so what's yours?
Mine is going to be the Main Street Electrical Parade.
Everybody's favorite.
I'm still shocked to this day, Walt, and it aggravates me. Disneyland has it back. When is Walt Disney World going to get a nighttime parade again? It was great. And I don't want to hear, that park has it and this park doesn't. Who cares if Land and World both have the same nighttime show? Who cares? Just change it up a little bit. Okay, so they have an electrical parade. We have an electrical parade. Then make it different cars, different on each one.
I agree.
It's just, I don't know. When the first time I saw it is with you, and you were still able in the Fast Pass era, you were able to obtain a Fast Pass, and you, me, and our family were able to stand. For viewing. Yes, we were able to stand where the American flag is as soon as you enter the park. So we watched them come right out from the fire department, the barber shop, and they came right around us. And I have some great pictures that we could post up on our social accounts. It was a blast. And I've seen it 2 or 3 times, and I loved it. And even if they didn't come back with the electrical parade, Magic Kingdom needs something at night besides the fireworks.
Absolutely.
So that's what I miss. And should I hold my breath? Probably not. Because I probably won't make it.
Yeah, you won't make it. That's fine. But hey, listen, you're going to have luggage tags, so you don't have to worry about.
That's true. So instead of the electrical parade, I'm going to spend $40,000. I'll get my luggage bags with those Grand Floridian luggage tags, and that'll make everything feel a whole lot better.
Gotta love the new Disney.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yep. So what do you think, Walt? Good place to wrap this up?
Sounds good. It was fun again, as always.
All right, folks. Yep. I had a blast. All right, folks, that's going to wrap up this edition of the Disney Resorts podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. For Walt Ramirez, I'm Kenny Hayes. We'll see you again real